Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about my great friends over at Streetside Brewery, where I, earlier today, watched the World Cup final with friends and family, and my goodness, I could not have picked a better place. Delicious beer. They were doing bucket specials on cans. What? That was awesome. And sound was on for the game. Bunch of TVs on. It was lovely. It was lovely. Immediately after the game, what happened? Oh, the Sunday live music kicked off. We had some nice acoustic guitar out on their amazing patio over there on the Columbia Tusculum-ish neighborhood, East End there. Fantastic stuff. And look, I've told you before that they've got great food, which they do. It's a delicious food truck out front. And I've told you they have lovely, lovely beers, which, again, were delicious during this game. But I want to tell you about the third one I always harp on is the friendly staff. Was there with friends. They had a little one. It's getting a little antsy. We're getting towards the end of the game. My goodness, we want to see how this game ends. Bartender came up to them and said, hey, would you be able to stick around and watch the game in peace if your child had a popsicle? They said yes. They gave them a popsicle free of charge. Now, look, I cannot guarantee you free popsicles every time you go in there. Do not take this as an advertisement for free popsicles. But what I can say is that a bartender took it upon themselves to make the experience better for their patrons, knowing what that experience meant for them in that moment. And what more could you want from a local business, a local brewery? Oh, just warms the heart, okay? So huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring this episode. Thank you, listener, for going out there and checking them out. And on today's episode, we are back. That's right. FC Cincinnati, the season is back. The games are back in just a couple of days. So what do we have for you? One, we've got an intro that is designed to get you back up to speed. And maybe you got a friend, family member, coworker who's gotten a little into the World Cup, is maybe a little FC Cincinnati curious. Wouldn't be a bad place to start. Figure out what's going on with this team, their local team, probably, hopefully. And we get them back up to speed. What are the narratives? What's the lineup? What are the players to watch? We got you covered. Timestamps below, though. Use the timestamps, okay? Because there's some nonsense at the beginning. If you want to skip the nonsense and then jump right to FCC talk, we got you covered, okay? It's all on the timestamps. Then Tyler Snipes joins us once again. Welcome back to the pod, Tyler Snipes. He is here to talk FC Cincinnati, MLS Next Pro, what has been going on with the youngsters while the rest of us have been watching the World Cup. Tyler's been covering MLS Next Pro, so he's got you covered on that front. And we wrap it all up in part 3 with a look ahead to the Wednesday home match against the leaders in the Western Conference, the Vancouver Whitecaps. It is an epic clash here in the Queen City. Oh, it feels good to be back. Enjoy this regular season episode of the Cincy Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am once again joined by Chief and Grayson. Chief, how was the time off during the mid-season off-season?
Oh, man. Did anything happen while we were gone? Like, I just sort of blinked and all of a sudden we're back here. Did we spend an entire month and a half watching way too much soccer and potentially alienating friends and family members? Or was that just me?
Pretty intense. I mean, our favorite FC Cincinnati goalkeeper got punched in the face. That's probably the most noteworthy thing that happened over the last couple of months here with FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, if you're not getting punched in the face at least once a month, I don't know if you're living your life the right way. Should be in more situations in life where you fear someone punching you in the face.
Yeah.
Healthy.
I think society would be a little better off with that. Grayson, I've got to ask you, are we more excited that FC Cincinnati is back, or are we mourning the loss of another World Cup, or the ending, I should say, of another World Cup more?
I mean, I'm so excited.
That's the Grayson I know.
For FC Cincinnati to be back. Like, it has been dire. Like, to be honest, like any time off, we did not use it as well as we should have. Right?
That's true.
We should have been.
For sure.
We should have been watching more movies. We should have been doing more nonsense. Instead, we came on here every week and just kind of did what we usually do during the season, which is just kind of talk for a while.
Yeah, a lot of yakking at it.
And you would, and which is fine, but you would think that like a podcast that like wanted to like attract listeners or like continue to exist would take some time where it's like you're not game after game after game of the team that you ostensibly cover to like, you know, think about like programming, think about more segments, think about more structure, think about, you know, let's finish cutting the away days from last year, you know?
No,
none of this is happening. Okay. It's going to be as bad, probably worse as you remember on our end. But I like seeing my boys.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's a version of this where we went dark during the summer and we took this moment to sort of recharge and come back with fresh ideas, and people are excited to, oh my gosh, a new episode dropped. It's been so long. No, we ground them to dust.
Yeah. It's like we always say on this podcast, always leave them asking why they got so much. Yep. Kind of how we do our business right here.
Man, Kevin, when I saw the length of the episode, I was like, there must be a lot of news. Nope.
No, there's less than no news. This is fascinating. How did
they manage to turn 2 hours out of that?
Turns out we watched the Asylum version of the Odyssey and talked about that for an hour.
Shot in IMAX 35 millimeter.
I think during like the peak of the season where we end up with like 4 matches in 1 week, we should just come up with an episode that is ranking all of the different film adaptations of the Odyssey, and just all out rank them, and it becomes just, you know, a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I've seen the Kirk Douglas Ulysses.
Okay.
I remember none of it. I remember. I'll tell you what I do remember is it was one of those movies they made, and maybe this is misremembering. Okay, so if this is false, I apologize for the first time on this show spreading misinformation.
Won't happen again.
My recollection of the Kirk Douglas Ulysses is it's one of those movies where it's like we got one American star and a bunch of Italians running around.
Ooh.
So there's an American speaking English and a bunch of Italians speaking Italian, and we're dubbing them over in English for the US release, and we're dubbing the American star in Italian for like the Italian release.
Sure.
That's my recollection of that movie.
It's called A Fistful of Ulysses.
Yeah.
For some reason, all on horseback.
Yeah, so the good old fashioned spaghetti epic. We love those.
So if people don't know about spaghetti westerns, they should. They're fantastic. They're not all fantastic, but there are some of the greatest. You have to like hold two things in your head. Like take for example, the movie Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah.
You have to hold in your head simultaneously, like, this is the greatest Western ever made. And also, these dark-skinned people with Italian accents with dyed red hair are Irish.
No.
Look, we go to these superhero movies and we have to believe that this big alien or the big threat is coming and is going to destroy the world. You have to go with what the movie is giving you.
I'm not even talking about the current controversy. I'm talking about 1960s Western wokeness when they cast Italian people and everything, and we're just supposed to accept
just the old version of CGI. It says sometimes you just got to turn your brain off and go where the story is taking you and recognize the technological limits. And interestingly enough, I do want to take this opportunity to welcome all of the new listeners to the Cincy Postcast who have decided after the World Cup, man, I really want to get into this team a little bit more. Let me check this podcast out about this team. And we're discussing the merits of spaghetti westerns, adaptations of the Odyssey, and plans to cover less of the team when they play more games.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Right. Well,
this is what you signed up for.
Look, I for one have never questioned whether Jeffrey Hunter was genuinely like a quarter Cherokee in The Searchers. Jeffrey Hunter, original Captain Pike.
Yes. Ooh. People forget.
Look,
also,
all I know is
Jesus in The Greatest
The
Story
Bible?
Ever Told, I think is what the movie
really
is.
glad you had a movie.
Or King of Kings.
Ended the sentence there.
Okay, look, I can't remember. One of these is Max von Sydow. One of these is Jeffrey Hunter.
I think Max von Sydow was The Greatest Story Ever Told, was I think Max von Sydow.
So then Jeffrey Hunter is King of Kings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the most like this is a guy, short, died young, played the three most important roles a person could play. All right.
Sure.
Jesus, Captain Kirk.
Jesus of Nazareth, the precursor to Captain Kirk, Captain Pike. And
was he Pike or April?
He was Pike.
Pike? Okay.
In the Cage and the Menagerie.
The Cage, Menagerie.
Wait, in the Cage, not in the Menagerie, because he was dead by that time. But they had like the guy. Well, I guess he was in the.
They used the old footage
in the reused footage.
Yeah.
And then he played the quarter Cherokee, like kind of cousin of John Wayne in The Searchers.
Yeah. Look, all I know is Wishbone, I'm going to force into this, is going to make my top 3 in terms of Odyssey adaptations. Okay. I got a soft spot for the little dog, and he's going right into the top 3.
We can't dig too much into the Odyssey because I have the take of the Odyssey that will piss everybody off as somebody who loved the movie, and I'm going to hold it back.
I can't wait.
Thank you for your service.
Well, that's a Patreon exclusive take. Oh, God. Well, speaking of a long, arduous journey where not all of us make it from one end to the other, we're off. We're off the off season. We're off the mid-season off season. We're off the mid-season off season preseason. We're back in the season. This is the regular season for FC Cincinnati. And yes, I think you were correct, Chief. I think we need to do some literal and figurative table setting for where FC Cincinnati is and where they were when we last saw them play. I will just start off by this, and then I'll throw it to you guys. FC Cincinnati, as it currently stands, is 7th in the Eastern Conference. That is good for 15th in the combined Supporter Shield. Top 4 in the Eastern Conference will get a home-hosted playoff advantage in the playoffs, especially in the first round. After that, it is higher seed hosts. The Supporter Shield standings don't matter except for who finishes at the very top and who finishes at the very bottom. They do
matter. They do matter for qualification.
They do
for CONCACAF Champions League
and Leagues Cup. If you're into that,
Leagues Cup, yeah,
which we are. We are the Leagues Cup podcast.
We are the one and only Leagues Cup podcast. 8th place and 9th place actually do a play in game. So you really want to finish 7th or above as far as the playoffs are concerned. FC Cincinnati 7th. Grayson, FC Cincinnati's, I want to say first half of the season. It's a little less than the first half.
Yeah, so I think that I want to propose that we officially have to determine, the nomenclature I propose that we use.
Okay,
is
please.
That the first half of the season was the start of the season.
Okay.
And this part we're in right now is the balance.
No,
we don't know
it's
what
the heart of the season.
Sure.
We're in the heart of the season.
The heart of the season. But when we get to the end, it won't be the heart anymore. It'll be sort of like the end.
No, it's all part of the heart.
I mean, the playoffs will be a separate thing, but the heart will remain.
The heart wants what it wants, though.
Yeah,
the heart wants the heart.
It's the core. It's the most important thing. You could use a pig one, and it works kind of fine. It turns out. It's not a perfect. It's not a perfect analogy here, but
right.
Okay. So I want to ask you, Grayson, as a sort of general, relatively quick sort of review of the opening or the beginning of the season. How do you? The apertura, if you will. Okay. How do you rate FC Cincinnati's performance?
Where do you think the new listeners are coming from? We're throwing all types of words at them. We're throwing apertura at them. We're throwing Leagues Cup. We're throwing Supporters Shield. We're throwing conference.
We're laying some breadcrumbs, and they're going to have a really fun time asking the AI chatbot of their choice what any of this means and getting absurdly wrong answers.
Okay.
So for the new listener, FC Cincinnati is a soccer team that is based in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yep.
Was originally founded
going way back. Okay.
Controversially founded 11 years ago. Actually played 10 years ago.
Oh,
started in the USL, moved up from the 3rd division to the 2nd division. Now part of the Eastern Conference of Major League Soccer. You can learn more about Major League Soccer at the website.
For our pro rail heads, this team was promoted from the 3rd division to the 2nd division.
Yep.
And then they finished first in the 2nd division, and then the next season they ended up in the 1st division. And the first division of the pyramid is MLS, Major League Soccer.
Yep.
Which you can learn more about at the website, MajorLeagueSoccer.com, MLSsoccer.com.
MLSsoccer.com.
Don't go to MLS.com.
MLS.com is a real estate website that I think you can't really get access to unless you're a real estate agent.
That's why you pay the big bucks.
There have been several real estate agents employed by Major League by FC Cincinnati.
So at thumbs up, thumbs down. How do we judge the performance at the beginning of the season for FC Cincinnati?
Thumbs down. It was bad.
It was not.
It was real bad. They are
no.
It was real bad. They are. I mean, the fact of the matter is, they are spending more money than anybody else in the entire league on defense, and they're giving up goals on a pace that would set the record for Major League Soccer giving up goals. Very articulate in a season.
Okay? Yeah, false.
And
I mean, that is true.
That is true.
You can disagree with the review.
It is true. They have given up more goals than they've scored. So, despite having a team that finished second from the top of the Eastern Conference in the regular season last year, second at the top of the Supporters Shield standings last year
by 1 point.
By 1 point, 1 point off of winning the league in the regular season last year, and returning most of that team, pretty much all of the contributors for that team.
Anybody you'd want to bring back anyway, yeah.
They are sitting barely in the playoff picture as it stands.
All right.
And they've looked really bad at times. They've looked okay sometimes.
Yeah.
They've looked good at offense and bad at defense sometimes. They did blow a 3-0 lead to advance in CONCACAF Champions League.
But had a 3-0 lead in CONCACAF Champions League.
But they've never looked good.
Yeah.
Except for, arguably, the very last game they played before the break.
Yep. All right.
Last like two games, but okay.
Are you done being pessimistic right now? Are you done with
I'm just
Fridays?
describing what happened.
It's just
right,
a realist.
let me describe what happened, because I'm going to say the first half of the season, thumbs up. For everything that Grayson just said.
Loser mindset.
No. I'm sorry.
We gotta hear the take.
Hold on. I listened to Eeyore down there for the last like 5 minutes. Now we can listen to this. Thumbs up for the first half of the season, because, you know, for all of the doom and gloom coming from Grayson right here, Kevin, you outlined the MLS Cup playoffs presented by Audi as discussed by the postcast. Can you tell me what would happen to a team that finished 7th overall in the Eastern Conference? Would they go to the playoffs, or would they not go to the playoffs?
They would very much be going to the playoffs.
All right, so they'd be going to the playoffs. All right. So this team is currently in playoff picture, correct? We can all agree on that.
That is true.
Now,
and avoiding the play-in game. Yeah.
And avoiding the play-in game. Now, did this team have some struggles out of the gate? Answer, yes. Absolutely had some struggles coming out of the gate. Did not look great at the start of the year. Did they blow a 3-0 lead to Monterey to advance in CONCACAF Champions League?
No. They did it to Tigres.
They did to Tigres.
In Monterey. Whatever. Nobody cares. You're tuning in to listen to this at MLS. Go find a Liga MX podcast if you want real information on that. Did they blow a 3-0 lead to Tigres? Sure did. Do most MLS teams blow leads to Liga MX teams in CONCACAF Champions League? Kevin, what's the answer to that question?
It's generally yes.
Do most MLS teams play poorly when they have to go to Mexico and play in those games?
You might even say they play shitty. Yes.
Yes. It's in fact the case that most MLS teams do not win CONCACAF Champions League. In fact, I think it's only been won twice in its current iteration by an MLS team, if memory serves.
Depends on what you mean by current iteration, but let's say 2 wins since 2005.
Yeah. Seattle being the most recent, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So there was no expectation that this team was going to win CONCACAF Champions Cup. Now, let's talk about where this team was when we last left off. Kevin, am I correct in remembering for the people that this team in the 9 games leading up to the midseason offseason, that they only lost 1 of those 9 games in that build, correct?
Yeah. So if you go back to April 11th, that begins a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games with 1 loss. They lost to Inter Miami on May 13th. Before that, you got to go back to April 4th. How did that game go?
It was
what
poorly.
Happened in that game?
They got the shit kicked out of them. We're not talking about that.
Did they, or did they go off to a lead and then blow it spectacularly because they couldn't defend?
L's or L's, man. There's no pictures on the scorecard.
3 goals in the 79th minute on really sank what was a 3-2 lead in the 78th minute. That's tough.
All right. So, and then for all the belly aching we're talking about here, this is a prolific offense for this team. I believe they have scored more goals than all but one team, the aforementioned Inter Miami team. Kevin, can you remind the people who is the star of that Inter Miami team?
Well, it was Lionel Messi.
And can you remind the people?
What did you say?
They've
done what? You said they scored 4 goals. When?
No, just that they're prolific goal scorers.
Yeah. Okay.
That we've scored more goals than any team other than Inter Miami.
Okay.
A team that would you say that team plays fairly or unfairly when it comes to salary cap, Kevin? That Inter Miami team.
I would say they push the envelope.
There we go. So this FC Cincinnati team, in all seriousness, they are in playoff contention right now, despite a horrific start to the season. They were on an incredibly good run of form to end the first half of the opening portion of the season.
And a lot of ties and giving up like 3 goals a game.
Sure. But they're getting results. They're getting points. Not losing. They have the second best offense in all of Major League Soccer. The offense is absolutely humming. And at the end of the season, or at the end of the opening portion of the season, this team had figured some things out and made some creative personnel decisions that I think have them very well situated to move forward in the remainder, the balance, the heart, as Grayson says, of the season. And that was the move of Pavel Bucha out wide to play in the wingback position, moving Dado Valenzuela, who is a midfielder that had previously been thought of as more of an attacking piece, as an attacking midfielder, or maybe even sometimes as a striker, moving him further back and allowing him to be a deep-lying playmaker in the midfield. And then moving Sammy Guidi, who is a young player on a special designation, U22, on the MLS salary structure, who had been playing as a defensive midfielder, moving him to play center back to get a little bit better ball possession in the center back room. Those were all some changes that were very late in the season, that very late in that opening portion of the season, that I think paid some real dividends for this team in terms of opening up its ability to possess, defend, and generally look the part of a contending team. So where I'm at right now is that this team ended its last run of games looking pretty good. They've had time now to refine the things they were doing well. I feel positive about where this team is right now. I think, do they need to make some moves? Yeah, I absolutely think they need to make some moves. But if they make some good moves this summer during the summer transfer window that is currently open, I feel like it's a thumbs up right now. I feel like it was a thumbs up for the first half of the year. This is basically one of those situations where they took the punch and they didn't get knocked out. And they're back standing. They righted the ship. I think that things overall on balance, it could have gone a lot worse. I think on balance, it's a thumbs up for the first half of the year.
It can't be a thumbs up. Now, you can feel positive about the team moving forward, but you can't possibly think or you can't possibly think or argue that like the results to date and what they've done to this point in the season is a thumbs up. It's far below expectations about like where the team thinks of itself, how the team spends its money versus other teams in the league.
They're in the playoffs.
The fact that, yeah, that's not the standard. That is simply not the standard for the team. So like you could think, okay, you know, things went really poorly and they're in the playoffs. So, you know, you make some tweaks, you make some changes, and the rest of the season can go well. But you cannot possibly give a thumbs up to how they entered the season and how they did.
I think you're both correct. Like Grayson, I completely agree with you. Chief, I think that there is plenty of reasons to be optimistic for this team going forward. It was a very rough start. They dug themselves quite a hole. However, hole's not as deep as it could be, especially compared to other, say, very spendy teams, looking at Atlanta or other teams that did, in fact, win the Supporter Shield last year, Philadelphia, in much worse shape than Cincinnati right now. Some of the other teams around them have improved, but I'll be honest, I haven't seen a ton from the Eastern Conference that is just screaming. I mean, maybe Nashville, but like,
Chicago got worse on balance.
I think it's fair to say Chicago got worse. Inter Miami is going to be a real question mark. And we'll see. But like New York Red Bulls, Charlotte, New England Revolution, anybody like shaken in their boots by what they did so far this summer? Tons of time left open in the window. So right now we're in the transfer window period. This is where teams can move players. They can sell them abroad, for lack of a better descriptor here, and they can purchase the playing rights of players to bring into the team. There's an enormous number of salary cap rules with Major League Soccer, but generally speaking, FC Cincinnati, there's a couple of levers they can pull to make some moves, make some changes here. But that's where we stand right now. Now, I want to go to our sort of presumed projected starting 11. And I think it's pretty clear until we get to the back five of this team. Roman Celentano, we'll just say outright, is the goalkeeper. He is the starting goalkeeper for, as far as I can tell, the next 10 years, unless he gets hurt or somebody decides to spend a lot of money for his services. I think he is FC Cincinnati's goalkeeper for a long time. Up top, it is Kevin Denke, and unless something radical has happened over the last 2.5 weeks in Milford, it is Kenji Mbomadem will be his strike partner up top. It is Evander underneath him with Dado Valenzuela behind him. And I'll let you guys quibble over this point. I think if he is healthy, it is Obina Wobodo's spot next to Dado. Do we have any disputes about the lineup I've laid out thus far?
I don't.
Okay. So then that takes us to our wingbacks, where I believe the wingback on the right will be Pavel Buka. Now, Buka was previously, the last couple of years we've seen him with FC Cincinnati, in one of those two spots of either Wobodo or Valenzuela's spot in the midfield. He has moved out right. And has looked pretty good there. I don't know if Buka likes it, but it's looked pretty good there. On the left, it had been Brian Ramirez. Some early indications based on some friendlies, based on who's been getting some time out there, would suggest this may be Ender Echenike's spot. That is who Buka basically took the starting job from on the right side. It looks like he may be moving out to the left. But maybe it's Ramirez's. Maybe they just wanted to see what it looked like with Echenike sort of inverted, playing on the side that's not his dominant foot on the left. What say you two?
I do tend to think that it's probably going to be Brian Ramirez out there. The problem with Ender Echenike, who is another player it's a young player. He's on a MLS U22 designation. All you need to know about that is that it's a special, if you're brand new to this, is that it's a special salary designation that MLS has to allow teams to spend a little bit more money to bring younger players in, but they tend not to be finished products. And in Ender Echenike's case, he was brought in by this team because he was really fast. Yeah. And he has delivered on the promise of being really fast.
He very much
what has been lacking has been the final, what do you do with it when you get the ball into space or when you beat your man and you need to do something with the soccer ball. And that just hasn't been there consistently. There's been flashes, but it hasn't been there consistently. Now, playing inverted, you would think that by playing inverted, it means that the player is not going to be called on as often to try and cross, and that instead it's going to be cutting in to either shoot or to pass to aid in the buildup. So maybe they're thinking that playing inverted might hide one of his weaknesses and allow him to do things that come more naturally to him. I don't know. But the other problem with Echenike is that his defense is abysmal. And in Pat Noonan's system, the wingbacks do need to defend a little, and there's just nothing there with his defense. So I'm Ender curious when it comes to him playing inverted. I don't know that that's a permanent fix, but I'm curious as to what it's going to look like. But I do think when it's all said and done that Brian Ramirez, who is much more of the traditional left wing back, I do think that it's going to be his position out there.
Yeah. And then that takes us to the back line. Now, if you are like me, in my head, the sort of settled back line that emerged towards the last couple of games of the beginning of the season was Samuel Guidi on the left, Andre Shirilla in the middle, and Nick Hagland on the right. In my mind, that's what it looked like. Looking back at the last 5 games that FC Cincinnati played, it was Matt Miazga in the middle for the last 4. You got to go back to the 5th game to find a setup that is Guidi left, Shirilla middle, Kyle Smith on the right. Who ends up with a red card in that game, by the way? Now, Shirilla got hurt, which is part of the reason why he didn't feature in the last 4 games. but it suggests that Miazga has a role to play here. Also during this time, Miles Robinson was nursing an injury that threatened his time at the World Cup. He did not play as much. He had some substitute appearances. When he did start, he came off at halftime. There wasn't a whole lot that we saw from Miles Robinson. He's been back with the team now for about a week. If the United States had continued to play, there was no reason to think he wouldn't have been, available to play. So I don't buy the he needs to get up to game speed argument. He should have been about there anyway. Now, he would have had a small break, but I doubt he sort of let his body go that long, that fast in just a couple of weeks. So, Grayson, if it were up to you, what would your back line be? And then, Chief, I'll ask you, what do you think Pat Noonan will actually roll out as the back line? But Grayson, I'll offer to you, what if you're putting together the back three, who are you putting out there right now? Let's assume everybody's healthy. I don't know where Sharilla stands right now, but let's assume everybody's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, my back three would be, here's the problem is, like, nobody fits like perfectly in any single spot, except the one player who fits like most perfectly in a single spot in the back line is Miles Robinson at right center back, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is the best like player to spot match that we have among the 25 center backs on this team.
Yep.
But I don't know that you can really justify that with the personnel. So,
yeah, for what it's worth, against San Diego and against Miami, which was 2 and 3 matches ago, Robinson was on the left side of the back line just due to personnel availability.
Yeah. So my back line is Sharilla on the left, Miles in the middle, Giddy on the right.
Okay.
And if Miles is going to be a designated player, it's going to be the highest paid defender in all of Major League Soccer.
And you should be able, and it's not close.
You should be able to play him in the middle of the center back three, and he should be able to cover for all these folks. I think, Sharilla as a natural left footer and somebody who is really good with the ball.
Yeah.
Certainly top 3 among center backs in this team on the ball. I think he's your left center back. And Giddy, he's got good physicality, he's got good athleticism, and he's also like, again, he's a midfielder who they've been playing at center back due to injuries and players being not very good. He's great as a ball playing center back.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's very young. Like, he's somebody that could grow into this role. It's relatively new to him. And he's 22. Like Chief said, he's on another one of those sort of young player contracts. And yeah, like the future looks bright if he can grow into that role.
Sharilla and Giddy are both young.
Yeah, Shrilla's 17 years old.
And so you're giving a lot of experience. They're both young, and then Giddy, in addition to being young, new to the position, you're giving a lot of experience away. You're giving, at least until these players develop, defensive qualities away. But I have a strong conviction that the best way this team can defend is to hold the ball and use the ball.
Okay.
And that's the center backs that you need to have out there to do that, while still having some physical attributes to make plays when you absolutely need to. I fear that too many other permutations result in the team just defending a lot, relying a lot on blocking shots, giving the ball away too much because you can't pass out of the back, you can't play with the ball out of the back. And while other defenders might be better suited to that, we've seen this year nobody is so good at that they're not going to give up, a bunch of goals.
Yeah.
And at least if you have good ball players, you can use that to help your offense and generate opportunities on the other side.
Yeah. The problem though is that you say Sam. I like Sammy Guidi at center back. The problem with saying he's going to grow into the role is that he can't do the type of growing that is most important for a center back, and that's vertically. He is generously listed at 5'10". He's a
short 5'10".
Yeah, I would guess closer to 5'9", maybe. And in MLS, that can be a liability at times, to especially on defending on set pieces, defending on long balls or balls played over the top. He's going to struggle with that, and it's a choice that you have.
You're giving up something no matter what you do. Like,
no, I was about to say
the fact of the matter is the team is so flawed, and some of the players they've spent money on are so useless that there's no perfect can do everything back line in the team currently.
No, I'd agree with that.
Maybe that changes, right? So, but as the roster stands, I think you have to think about what's the most useful way for us to play. And I think the team right now is an offensive team. So we got to put the all hands team out there and say what's the best team that's going to play with the ball, use the ball, advance the ball, and get the ball into our attackers and help us generate chances. Because we're going to have to, unless the personnel changes, we're going to have to outscore teams the rest of the year.
Yeah. But I do think that if you are, I do think that you do. I think there's no getting around the fact that Miles Robinson will be your right center back. And I think that the reason for optimism with Miles Robinson is that we've talked about it on here on the past, but that he's had one eye on this World Cup for over a year, probably longer. And there is no doubt in my mind that the pressure of staying fit, staying healthy, and being available to make the World Cup roster was more important than anything else going on in Miles Robinson's life, including FC Cincinnati, leading up to the World Cup break. You know what? Good on him. He got minutes in the World Cup. He lived his dream. Congratulations. My hope with all this is that with that behind him, that is a deep breath, turn the page. I got to do this. We made up for the fact that he was hurt for Qatar and missed out on the ability to play in 2022, and that more focus from Miles Robinson and less worry that you're planting a wrong foot is going to take your dream away from you again will lead to him playing with a little more instinct. Whereas in the past, it looked like he was profoundly overthinking everything at the first part of this year. In the center of the center backs, I think it's going to be Matt Miazga. And I think the reason why it's going to be Matt Miazga is that he's coming back still from, a pretty gnarly injury and a pretty gnarly injury history over the last 2 years. And I think for no other reason is that they're going to use the next couple weeks to see, okay, he's now had this much time. And I get that we've been beating this drum for a while, waiting for the real Matt Miazga to show up. I think that until they move on or decide they're going to move on from him, I think he plays. And I think that one of two things happens with Matt Miazga. I think he either plays well enough that he remains the starter for the remainder of the year, or he plays until his contract gets bought out or he's transferred somewhere and they make a switch this offseason. But either way, I think Miazga will be your starting center back until one shoe or the other drops. And then on the left-hand side, I think it's going to be a Shirilla-Guidi platoon based on matchup, based on what type of striker or offense they are going up against. And there's just going to be teams where they're going to want the speed of Guidi on the field. There's going to be other games where they're going to be matches where they're going to want the size of Shirilla on the field. So I think that both of those two players are going to sort of split that third center back role. And there isn't going to be a set 1, 2, 3 across the back. It's just going to be matchup dependent, but with the other two guys, Miazga and Robinson, locked on until a roster move happens regarding Miazga, or he plays his way back into the role and the team hands it to him for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So Chief, I can totally see that happening. Let me ask you this. Let's say it is Shirilla starting a game. Do you think Guidi moves ahead of Obi in the midfield?
No.
Or is he still behind Obi? Okay.
I think he is still behind Obi right now, but I don't think Obi has a long leash. I don't think that this team is going to wait indefinitely if Obi continues to look like he is missing a step that we've seen for about the last 9 months, 12 months. Yeah. Like, I don't think Obi has a long leash. Just the same way I don't think Miazga has a long leash. I think those are the two players that are the most in need of an upgrade on this roster. And both have shown the ability to play at a high level in the past. And it's just a question of whether or not they regain that or show the ability that they still have that ability. If they don't, the window, the important thing for people to know is that the transfer window is open this year until mid-September. Like, if it is a long opportunity for the transfer window to be open. And look, if you're new to this league as well, you should know as well that this is the last year in the current season format that MLS is operating on. And starting in the 2027-2028 season, the league will move to a more like what you would more associate with the European calendar of starting in August, ending in May. But in between that flip, there's going to be a shortened abridged sprint season next year. I don't think that there's going to be a ton of roster turnover that most teams are going to engage in between the end of this year and the start of the sprint season. So I think that the decision on players like a Matt Miazga, they're going to wait. And I don't think the teams are going to worry too much about, we're burning daylight. We should bring these replacements in now. I think most teams are going to be okay making some evaluations that go a little later in the window because they know this is the window that sets their roster, not just for the remainder of this year, but also I think for the sprint season as well.
Yeah. I think if they start I do kind of fear they will start the center back trio that you've suggested. If they do that, they're gonna just be losing some games like 4-1. Like it's not gonna work because Miles isn't good enough on the ball in that trio to be playing out on the right. And then Matt's not a good enough defender to be playing in the center if they're going to be like losing the ball because they can be pressed hard and they're going to lose the ball deep or they're going to like just boot the ball out of bounds all the time. And Matt, like I'm so tired of seeing a team playing the current iteration of Matt Miazga in the center of a 3-man center back rotation, just get beat with the same play over and over and over again. Yeah. And maybe it's different. Maybe the rest has been helpful or whatever, but unless they've also signed him to like another deal, I don't think we're going to see the same Matt Miazga for the rest of the year on an option year where he's out of contract at the end of the year. And is probably thinking, I can't get another injury when I'm going to be a free agent in December.
And his name will get him a job in MLS alone. It's just, how much money is he going to get with that job? So,
and then, if that happens, then the decision will be made for them, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And
we've seen enough. We've seen plenty.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to just see that the defense was not great in the beginning of the year.
If he's back and as good as he was before his injury,
hell yeah. Let's go. We're winning the whole damn thing.
Then we're gonna win 2 trophies this year.
Like literally, if you could give me 2023 Miazga, and I'll take 2023 Miles Robinson. I think was he injured then? Whatever.
I think he might have been injured.
Okay. So then 2024 Miles Robinson, I think we've got a very good chance of doing some damage in the playoffs, because this offense is great. It's just defense has got to tighten the screws up a little bit. Okay, we're going to go a little lightning round here. I'm going to run through. I'm going to have each of us sort of pitch a couple of things here. So Chief, let me start with you. Give me a favorite player. If somebody's new to the team, just give me an argument for why this player should be their favorite player.
Don't say it. Don't take mine.
you can't take our new right back.
You know who I'm going to say? I'm going to say Dado Valenzuela, and here's the reason why.
This is so big of you, Chief. Preach.
All right. So it's easy to root for a designated player. It's easy to say Kevin Denke. It's easy to say Evander. Those guys are awesome. But Dado Valenzuela is the kind of favorite player that will challenge you as a fan.
Yes.
It's not easy, as Kevin can tell you, being on the Dado gang, because it seems like the better he plays sometimes, the less he plays. As if he think there are answers to the test, and just when he thinks he has all the answers, somebody switches up the questions on him, and he finds himself back on the pine. The reason why I think he should also be your favorite player is that he is one of the few guys on this team that I genuinely believe is a little bit of a prick. Matt Miazga is a little bit of a prick. Dado has sort of like a little bit of RBF going on at all times. And he seems like a kind of guy where he is just personally offended by everyone that tries to guard him, by everyone that tries to do something in his presence, or when things don't go his own way. He seems like the kind of guy that might refer to himself in the third person, kind of like The Rock a little bit. And I think that's a valuable thing to have on a team. The other reason why he should be your favorite is that I do believe that unless this team makes a major signing in this offseason, that he will be the most important sort of load-bearing piece on this team's ability to possess, to play out of the back, to break high-press defenses, which teams around MLS love to employ. This team started to play better as soon as they added him as more of a ball handling, defensive sort of, orchestrator, facilitator from the back type piece, almost like a Michael Bradley-esque at the end of his career type player. Little bit of an attitude. He is a homegrown, allegedly, even though he's not from Cincinnati. He is considered a product of the FC Cincinnati system. And yeah, just when you think things are going well for your favorite player, he's just not going to play for like 6 weeks, and you just don't know why. Kevin has experienced the joys of this all over the place.
It's so fun.
Of all the players that you could throw your weight behind, the most important reason why as well is that I am consistently proven wrong when I think Dado isn't good. So it's like a personal spite to me. And if you continue listening to this podcast, you will relish things that personally spite my takes on this. So Dado is my pick for who you should be cheering on for the second half of the season.
I couldn't disagree with the word you said. Grayson, give us the argument for another favorite player.
Well, it's got to be it's Pavel.
Yes,
yeah, I let you have Pavel, because Pavel is obviously the right answer.
Pavel is the current Swiss Army knife on the team. He plays where he's needed. He's a natural, frankly, attacking midfielder who we brought in to play, kind of more of a box-to-box midfielder, run the most, run the hardest, do everything, defend, attack, create. He has scored some absolutely incredible goals in this team. He loves a shot outside the box. Loves a shot outside the box.
Always root for a Pavel outside the box shot. That's yes.
If you hear a small voice yell "Kobe" on the field, you'll know Pavel is about to make some shit happen.
He's Czech, but he speaks great English. He seems to have taken to the city and the country very well, by all accounts. And recently, he has taken one for the team and started playing a lot on at outside, like right back in the team, and he has been a big part of kind of stabilizing the results and doing work both ends of the field, and just kind of cemented his worth to the team. And the only drawback to deciding that Pavel is your favorite player is we pay him probably well below his value.
Yeah.
And so he may be angling for a move in the next in the next year or so. Who knows?
Or another MLS team could dangle quite the contract out there to lure him away.
He was like basically the last man cut from the Czech national team before this World Cup.
Yeah.
Which was sad to see.
And then he responded by shaving his head and getting absolutely yoked.
He does look pretty ripped now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried for the other teams.
Yeah, no, this man has gone.
I don't think he had those arms before.
No, he did not. He did not. No, you are watching the beginning of a Batman villain story. He is called into his World Cup squad and plays the last game of the send-off after being told, we're really thinking about adding you to the final World Cup spot. And he is the last man cut. He comes back. He lives in a weight room, shaves his head. He is going to fuck some people up in the second half of this season.
So, Grayson, you would know more about this than I would. He has only appeared in friendlies for the Czech Republic.
Yep.
He is not cap-tied. Is there another Eastern European country he could very quickly switch allegiance to? Okay.
I'm not aware of any other citizenship that he has. He does have a green card. And
he's already been here for 2 years.
Yeah, he does have a green card. So, give him a couple of years. I don't really think he would ever be somebody the U.S. national team would look at. But if
you're not thinking about this the right way. This is, what does it say? We're recording on July 19th in the year of our Lord 2026. I want to take you into the future, into the year 2046. When
when
the child,
I don't want to talk about his personal life.
I'm talking about his personal life. We're going there.
Molly the dog suits up.
When the child of Pavel Bucha, who was born on American soil and holds an American passport, suits up for the U.S. men's national team and knocks the Czech Republic out of the 2046 World Cup. And from the first row of the stands, Pavel leans over to whoever is managing that team and says, "I want you to know it was me."
Lady Elena style.
We could thank John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett for cementing the citizenship of Pavel's child.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure he had a green card when that child was born.
Does not matter. Does not matter. This
doesn't matter anymore.
This child will avenge a roster miscarriage of justice.
Look, all I'm saying is by 2030, Pavel Bucha himself could be on the U.S. roster. Okay, I'm not discounting anything here.
If he gets citizenship, I will be a one-man marketing committee to get Pavel on the national team, just as I would have been for Lucho.
Yeah.
Like,
this team could have used a Lucho.
Just as I will be for Evander. Come on.
Just as I will be for Evander when he gets the citizenship.
Yeah.
Just so he can say, like, I'm a citizen in the same country as I show speed, which is Evander's dream.
That's all he's ever wanted.
FIFA World Cup pregame performer, I show speed.
Cincinnati native performing at the World Cup. You gotta love that.
Kevin, pitch somebody on a favorite player.
Yeah, I mean, Dotto would have been my pick here, but let me throw another one out here for you. Kenji Mboma. This is a true underdog story that you're rooting for to come to fruition. Google his dad, okay? Patrick
Mboma. It's just Patrick Mboma.
Oh, right. Patrick Mboma. Fantastic player in his day. Kenji then moves to the United States, plays his college soccer with the Dayton Flyers just up the road. Gets drafted with FC Cincinnati. And let's be honest, most of the guys that get drafted don't end up appearing for the first team. It's only happened a couple of times. The biggest exception these days is Roman Celentano was drafted and continues to play for FC Cincinnati. Kenji was drafted and they had to use an international spot to carry him for 2 years. Now that is not nothing. Now they had the space for it, but they also could have gotten cash for that spot. This team believed in him. He toiled away with the second team. He eventually broke his way out onto the first team, and he has rewarded FC Cincinnati with 4 goals so far, 6 goals this calendar year, an assist in MLS. He has truly emerged as the strike partner with Kevin Dinke, beating out MLS veteran Tom Barlow, beating out the money transfer in Ayub Jabari coming in, and has fended off another young prospect in Stefan Schirilla, Andre Schirilla's ever so slightly older brother, still very young player. Kenji has really broken out to the point where I think going into this season, you might have highlighted the second striker spot on this team as being a weakness, and certainly a position they could still go to try to upgrade. But I don't think it's as desperate, and that is largely due to his play. If he continues to play as well as he's looked, the sky's the limit for this guy. He's a little older at 24 than some of the younger players we talk about, but I think he's a good one to root for, and anybody who has believed in him, he has rewarded with consistent performances and improvements over time. I think he's a very fun one to root for. Now, that being said, the real answers that you'll find out in the streets, Kevin Dinke and Evander are truly the offensive stars and juggernauts of this team. Lots of people love Roman Celentano. He's been on this team forever, and he's a very good goalkeeper. Was probably the 4th, maybe 5th choice goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team. He was very close to making that cut there. And of course, the local kid, Nick Hagland, has been on this team ever since they joined MLS in 2019. He has, I have a list of it somewhere. He has beaten out something like 16 or 17 center backs that this team at different points in time has brought in to replace him. He has out-survived all of them and will probably start more than a third of the games down the stretch of this season here, just based on what he always does. He rises to the moment. He outlasts everybody. If he is hurt, it is a devastating injury. Otherwise, he plays through it. He had a couple of metal ribs put in last year. He is a warrior and a very easy guy to root for. But honestly, you can't go wrong with any of the players you watch. Watch a game and just see who sticks out to you. That's usually the best way to find it. Or sure, follow them all on Instagram and see who's the funniest, and you'll end up right back at Nick Hagland.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think that covers us for an intro to this team. Is there anything that we need to get off our chest for resetting the plate for this team?
No, and if we didn't hit it, join the Discord and somebody will yell at you for any question that you ask.
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic week to jump in here, by the way, because you got obviously the match at the midweek and then the away game against Columbus with Hell is Real, one of the best rivalry games in MLS. Great time to become a fan. So before we get to the match preview with about the Vancouver Whitecaps with the Vancouver Whitecaps, we had a lovely conversation, Chief and I did, with Tyler Snipes. Tyler has been covering this team in some way, shape, or form for a long, long time. He is doing some work with the league office, particularly with MLS Next Pro. That is the sort of second tier of Major League Soccer teams. There's a couple of independent teams, but you see a lot of the younger players around MLS play in this league. He covers them. He watches them closely. He also does a podcast with Laurel Thaler, another journalist you should be checking out who covers FC Cincinnati. Great conversation with Tyler. We bounce around between FC Cincinnati and some of the MLS Next Pro stuff. At the end of that interview, we will be back here to give you the preview of the Vancouver Whitecaps game, and then you're free. Then you're free to go. So enjoy the conversation with Tyler. We'll catch you on the other side. Also sponsoring today's episode, our good friends over at E&L Roofing. Look, there's nothing worse than needing to figure out who to call about roof damage. Maybe something's gone wrong with the gutters. Maybe you need the siding relooked at. It's a tough spot to be. And I know what I would normally do. I'd ask around. I'd say, hey, who do you got? Who's your roofing guy, right? Like if you're anything like me, you like to have a guy. You need a roofing guy. I got you a roofing guy, okay? It's E&L Roofing. Go check them out. Give them a call. They've been doing this stuff since 2009, covering the entire greater Cincinnati area. They will hook you up. Chief can vouch for them. They actually genuinely did work on his house. He enjoyed it, and wouldn't you know it, that's how we even got this conversation rolling to get them to sponsor the podcast. So we can totally and completely vouch for them. Absolutely love them. I've recommended them to a few friends. They've enjoyed their work as well. Okay. So you need a roofing guy. We got you a roofing guy, E&L Roofing. And hey, sweeten the pot a little bit. You mentioned the postcast. When you give them a call, you ask them to come out for the inspection. They'll knock off that price up to 20% off. It's win-win, okay? So give them a call. Go check them out. Link is in the description of this episode as well. elroofing.com. You're not going to be disappointed. Huge thank you to E&L Roofing for sponsoring this episode. Well, joining us here on the postcast, an incredibly special guest for us, somebody that I have followed for a long, long time. We are joined by Tyler Snipes. You might have heard Tyler on Laurel's podcast over there at the Queen City Press. You might have read his stuff. I mean, gosh, where haven't you read his stuff? MLS Next Pro, MLS Soccer, everywhere you're getting your coverage, particularly of the younger side of FC Cincinnati. Welcome to the show, Tyler Snipes.
Thank you, guys. It is so great to be back. That is such a friendly introduction. But yeah, good to see you guys again.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see you too, and it's also good to say this for the first time. Oh my God, FC Cincinnati is back this week.
Yeah,
our long nightmare is finally over. At least our nightmare as people that like talk about this club. Like, good God, the World Cup's been great, but there has not been a lot to talk about with FC Cincinnati. And I am so glad that we're finally going to have things that can generate some fresh takes coming up this week. Yeah.
And I did anybody watch the Burnley game? Because like I didn't. I'll admit that there was stuff, but I just couldn't. I just didn't have the time. I'll admit it. So
yeah. I'm not legally going to say that there was somebody that I was watching that was streaming the game using a VPN. I wouldn't say that if that happened. So I'm not going to say that happened.
Yeah, it would be very illegal to admit that somebody in the Post's Discord server set up their own live stream and we had, I think, up to 50 people watching. Hypothetically, of course, if that happened, we condone it. We do not, or no, we condemn it.
Condemn.
The wrong
do not condone. Condemn. I condemn your condoning of this action, Kevin.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
No, it's been a long time. And then, of course, the Olympia match happens. And I think only Laurel and Carter saw it from, quasi-independent eyes there. So, like,
well, I mean,
who knows what's going on here?
Evan Loro saw it kind of up close too, apparently, from what I heard.
Oh, God. Tyler, let me ask you this time. What have you been up to during this World Cup break?
So I work literally 4 jobs for a living. So I don't even know where to start with that. When I haven't been killing lantern flies, just making a quick plug for all Cincinnatians there.
Okay.
So I've got like a day job, and then, as you said, MLS Next Pro, MLSsoccer.com, and then of course the podcast with Laurel. So Next Pro did not stop throughout the World Cup. So it's been like kind of even hard to enjoy it because like our match days have like clashed with like a lot of those games. So like anything that wasn't happening like during the daytime, kind of had it on the background. And Kevin, what haven't I been doing? It's been articles. It's been, like there's a lot of stuff I do in the shadows. So it's very much been like, in the afterburners, and that's just going to keep going because now 2/3 of the season go where 1/3 of the season normally goes because MLS Cup is still the second week of December. So may God bless us all trying to cover this team as long as they're in these competitions, man.
Oh my God. And there's a Leagues Cup somewhere in there as well, which Lord help us if the FC makes a run here. So this could get pretty painful pretty quick. But you have been keeping tabs on MLS Next Pro. It's my understanding that FC Cincinnati has had a handful of guys that I think sort of emerged as first team options were regularly playing in MLS Next Pro. So let me ask you this generally. How has FC Cincinnati been doing in MLS Next Pro? FC Cincinnati 2, I should say specifically.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the standings, not great. And it's first year head coach for Sammy Castellanos. And I think, I don't know if there's I don't know what public statement you'd find that really confirms this, like his communication, but like the word around the club has been they're going younger. They're leaning more into the academy. The thing about that is they got people at all different age groups with national competitions, MLS Next Cup. They all have like tiered, tournaments of their own with different age groups. So how they've been doing is the best they can. Getting starting 11s has been really difficult. And then with the first teamers that emerged, like, Ayub Lashar came out of there. The Chirilla brothers came out of there. Kenji, I don't think he's played any 2-ball this year. If he has, it's not been significant enough that it stands out. And I'm missing one. Adamar, who I think he might have played some CCL. I don't think he's played MLS minutes yet. He's been a regular down there, but I think he's even picked up an injury. So they're just in the dog days. They just with all the rotation, and it sounds like excuses. Maybe some are fair, maybe some are unfair, but they've just put themselves in a hole. But then the very talented, highly touted Red Bulls too, they were able to grind out a tie and shootout win at home at NKU a couple of weeks ago. So on their day, they're still a respectable out, but are we talking about MLS Next Pro playoffs? Probably not. And I don't think they're very far away from being mathematically eliminated at this point.
So with regard to MLS Next Pro and FC Cincinnati 2, with the idea of going younger, is there now less of a focus on the results of the matches and more concern about developing player skills and getting players ready to do whatever they need to do in order to contribute at the next level? Has there been that kind of a shift that's accompanied that, or are they still of the mindset that young players should be winning games, young players should be, gelling with their teammates, finishing matches out? Where's the mindset now with this pivot to a younger strategy?
I think they'll tell you both, they'll say that they want it all, but with how it's kind of shaken out, I do think it's about just getting young players professional minutes. And then like some of the academy guys, you don't have a super long leash because if a kid, or if you're the club, right, and the kid might be interested in playing college, you can't sign him because then that trips up his eligibility. So I think there's a lot of dress rehearsal for that. Let's see what we've got in a Connor Dale or the names that are, of course, escaping me at the wrong time, but giving them an audition. And, does that coincide with putting out the best 11 you can? No. But learning how to win, not falling into the, even the Tyrone Marshall era, you could tell they lost the locker room. And I don't mind saying, like, after really tough games, you don't really know what to ask him. And like sometimes like he wouldn't even mind blaming the players, which is like pretty not something you see every day, but also he was just out of words after a certain point. So I don't think they mind this. I think all resources are on the first team, and it's just a long-winded way of saying, like, I don't think they're punting on Next Pro. I don't think they enjoy losing games either, but the more first team ready guys they have, and like after this crop of all the players we named up top, like they are kind of barren there. And then like you can compare that to like a Philadelphia Union or like a St. Louis, who's like always really strong in MLS Next Pro, but none of those guys are ever going to see the first team field. And they lock up this roster with a bunch of second team contracts with guys they're just never going to use. So I think they eliminate a lot of like bloat and have a really simplified depth chart by not having like a ton of second team contracts that they're earnestly interested in. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you with a straight face that like they're determined to win the league and turn this around this year. I think it's too late for that,
Yeah. Looking around Next Pro, I'm glad you brought up a couple of other, teams as sort of comparables. What, as somebody, I have to admit, I don't follow the Next Pro League as much as I probably should, as somebody who talks about a professional MLS team as much as I do. What is the general sort of level or mindset of the league? Is this a league that is, a place for promising young academy prospects? Is this a place where, are some of the teams recruiting, late 20s, early 30-year-old like USL guys to try to put the most competitive team out there? Like what is MLS Next Pro as a league right now in the summer of 2026?
Yeah, it's we're match week 20 out of 30. So this is gonna be so embarrassing if I have this wrong. 4 years in and 66% done of year 5. There's no way I was right about that.
It feels right. And that's what's important.
You said it with confidence, and that's the important part.
Yeah. So like all that plus playoffs, whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of feeling out, and still the entire MLS map hasn't participated. And then, let me say before up top, because people will listen to this, I work for MLSnextpro.com. I am not a full-time employee, and everything I'm saying is just my opinion. So, what it was, what was the intent on day one? What did I think it was, and what it is now? Yeah, it's all the above. I don't think they see a ton of USL guys, like older guys. Even the independent teams kind of like stray younger with their free agents. But yeah, it is a place where the elite academy can mix it up and play up in age groups and like see if that super talented 14-year-old can cut it. And the success stories of like Kevin Sullivan have come out, and then like, a little bit older, but you see the same thing with like Xavier Gozo this year, like voted in, I think how much bias was in it, I don't know, but like at least a league wide voted into the All-Star game, like for like the first 11. And you see that kind of playing out. Some teams do, prioritize the individual versus like team success. Then you do have the independent teams that are unaffiliated, but they still are fostering and they're growing. So like, Chattanooga and Carolina Core, for example, they enter academies like into MLS Next Fest. And there's several other like academy teams that like are completely unaffiliated from MLS that like field teams there. But yeah, it is a professional league. It's considered third tier. We'll see what happens with USL and soccer wars and all that. But while there is a third tier, that's where, they claim themselves to be. And so it's players playing up and down. I think you guys even saw earlier in the year, like for some reason, Matt Miazga like was playing games. So like, the baseball style of like rehab minutes. Christian Fletcher was just playing for FCC2 in the run up too. So like there's some of that. But the intent is, it's a professional league. But then with all this roster turnover and like all that we're talking about, like for a team like FC Cincinnati, their success is not marked by being a playoff team or not making a playoff team. So it's not to say the games don't matter. It's just, what is your club working on? What are you, prioritizing? And when you look back at the end of the year, what are your success stories? And yeah, so all that to say though, I've been working with the league since its founding year, and teams do change their tune very quickly when they make the playoffs or they're in a conference final and they do, come away with a trophy or even a conference trophy. They change their tune about how important it is. And, they become really proud of it when they have the opportunity.
Winning culture. How much fun was your timeline in the aftermath of the U.S. being eliminated from the FIFA Men's World Cup and the discourse around youth soccer and opportunities for young Americans to play in this country.
I'm always interested in what people think, but like some of these kids are still young. They're going to be so young still in 2030. So like to answer your question, was I entertained? Yes. Do I think like even, Xavier goes, like people like respected pundits were like trying to put him in just to take a flyer on him for this roster, just to be the wild card. Maybe guys like him are there. I don't know. Are the predictable names going to be there? Like, I try to say this, like not trying to be funny, but like, I do think people overlook this. Like, yes, they are pro athletes. A lot of them are getting MLS minutes. A lot of them are playing like, Audrey Mehmeti scoring goals against Messi's Miami. That is real, but he is still a kid going through puberty. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he is going to grow. His body is going to change. He will probably change clubs a million times. And can he stick if he moves up like the Red Bull, global pipeline and stuff like that? So just because you're a stud in MLS Next Pro and like you cut it in MLS for a few weeks, I don't think it's the mark of he's definitely going to be the part of the future generation. It's always going to be a mixed squad, and the experience, especially people with a taste of defeat in their mouth after this, whoever we feel good about giving another World Cup, which is another question entirely, that's going to need to be balanced with like youthful cojones, for lack of better words. And there are great players in the pipeline. And sorry, I'm just going on a rant here, but it's just, something that I talked to somebody at the Sounders a few weeks ago for something. And he, like his opinion, and he's somebody who would know, is that like the US, like up until like the U15, 16 level, we do compete with the rest of the world just fine. Like in earnest, we will go into international competitions, whether it's the clubs, whether it's, representing the country and compete. It's just when our kids turn professional age, and that could be for a million reasons, that's where the drop off is. And the floor of the American pro, like with Next Pro, like, accelerating the pipeline and stuff, they are living professional lives a little bit earlier. Do you see that pay off in 1.5 World Cup cycles? I don't know. I don't know what Judgment Day is for that. But yeah, that I do think that they take that seriously too. And like the whole mission of like more better players is them doing their part, and like, the MLS clubs having structure. Because as we all know before, like in the USL days, like second teams played top division USL. And like, that's wild. Was that better competition? Like maybe, but that's not what it is anymore. And like MLS, well, we won't do a history thing there, but I don't want to say anything to get myself in trouble, but sorry. So I'll just say, yes, Chief, the timeline was very fun. There are good players. Some of them will be on there. Some of them won't. Some of them we'll completely forget about by the time that happens, but everybody needs to make memes. Everybody needs to be first to it. Everybody needs to say, I called it first because they read something on the internet or looked at stats on MLSnextpro.com and decided that's their guy.
Yeah. The real sickos remember away days at Los Dos or TFC2 on a field that had markings for probably 6 different sports on an artificial playing surface.
Yep. And there's if you ever wanted
to watch a professional soccer game on a field marked for lacrosse, American football, soccer, and bocce ball at the same time, TFC2 had you, and you would see professional players playing against 16-year-old kids on that field.
It still happens to this day, like in like Next Pro fields and everything. And I have never asked, and I probably should, like for refs and players, like how does that not just completely get you fucking cross-eyed, like outside looking in, and I'm not the most athletic, but
no, you can see it. You'll see teams, if you watch these games with like the multiple lines, like particularly American football lines are just slightly skinnier usually. You will see guys sort of bias to playing inside the NFL line or the American football line, just because like there's this mentality thing of like, it'd be really dumb if I just let this ball cross this line. And so you see this like weirdly pinched in style of play, even though it doesn't have to be. No, I think that's a great point. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that really is what we have seen and really for years now, is that the American soccer player up until about 16 years old is as good, if not better, than a lot of the rest of the world. Go check out some of these youth cups where you've got USA teams beating Brazil, beating Spain, beating France. Like this is a regular common occurrence. And yeah, by the time they turn 16, 17, 18, we're gone. Like we're barely competing with these guys. And the truth of the matter is the 17 and 18-year-olds are getting professional minutes, maybe not at the biggest clubs in their domestic countries, maybe not even in their first league, but they are getting minutes in the second and third professional division against, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds that are fighting for a paycheck, man.
Yes.
Like, it's that level of competition that ultimately clashes with these guys. I do think that there is a world where MLS Next Pro could expand further and having a mixture of styles of academy teams, because we see that in Europe. Ajax 2 or young Ajax and Barcelona 2 and all these teams, they all compete in their professional leagues as well. But yeah, they're also fighting promotion, fighting for paychecks, fighting for, a look by another team. I do think that there is a world where MLS Next Pro plays a foundational role in American soccer for the next decade. And I hope to see it. I think that would be fun. But in the meantime, we do have a fully professional MLS team here in Cincinnati. Tyler, I gotta know, as we saw sort of, I guess the first half, kind of the first third of the season before the World Cup break, what are maybe some of the bigger storylines or questions you want to see answered by FC Cincinnati going into this, I say home stretch, but it's really just
the majority of the season.
Yeah, this is an absolute gauntlet of
balance,
soccer,
if you will.
The back 18, is that a phrase?
Yeah, the back nine. The back nine.
Back nine. Yeah.
But it's like the back 15.
15 plus Leagues Cup plus playoffs, ideally, right? The questions I want to see answered, I think it's pretty straightforward. They dug themselves a hole out of the gate, and the back half of the season, the only teams that I really think are scheduled wins are DC, Philly, and I think they have one more random game with Montreal. Everybody else is a very credible, at least if the first half of the season's a fair barometer. And then you can talk about Orlando. They're going to be different. Who knows? And then Atlanta, they might have Atlanta, and Atlanta. I don't know if they've done anything to improve themselves, but I doubt it. But the majority of their games are going to be tough games. And then they got to play Nashville twice, just all that. Yeah. To me, the story of the second half of the season is going to be, can they get back into a hosting seed? I think the supporter shield is too far gone. You guys tell me if you viewed that differently.
No.
It's gone.
And then Leagues Cup, you've got, I just looked it up, and it's insane. So Pumas won the Clausura season last year. And then Atlas and Toluca were all in the top 6. And I don't free agent watch. I don't know what the silly season is. I know they just started their new season, but if those teams didn't get significantly weaker, we can't have any hubris as traditional top 4 team in the East is going to push those teams around. We've seen how this plays out. That's not good. That's a really tough draw for Leagues Cup. I don't think they're going to come out and say they punt on that, but I again, very interested what you guys think and what the the streets want to see out of this. But I think that the more simple they can make their schedule, meaning I don't put all your eggs in the Leagues Cup basket, but taking that foot off the gas.
It's going to be a grind in the second half of the season. And they're going to have to pick and choose spots where they can manage minutes. And Leagues Cup feels like a very natural place to manage minutes, given how hard the schedule is, I think.
Yeah, and it's not going to be I don't think the response will be how it was in CONCACAF when the depth got tested and it was oh my God. I don't think anything that shocking can happen in Leagues Cup, right? But an early exit there wouldn't be the worst thing as long as it's not a complete momentum killer. In terms of individuals and those storylines, I think depth is going to be the issue. I don't think we're seeing much about the transfer window in or out that's a real game changer. And at least before teams started MLS the other day, second in goals for, but also second in goals against, but also all the money you've stuck into Miles and Matt and how little they've gotten to play together. Well, now is going to be judgment day for that. And you would expect that they come back to the mean, which is closer to their brand. If they are still, if we still have optimism that, this is an elite team in the East, they have the elements to make this exciting, and chasing down 4th place should be a healthy test, but can't exactly unsee the first 15 games, can you? Is that
no.
fair? Do you guys think that? What are you guys talking about?
So I guess my question, to answer your question with another question, Do you think this roster as constituted is good enough to chase down fourth? Or do you think that this team does have work to do before this window closes to make that a reality?
I think it's still a mystery of what they can do. So assuming we're just talking about additions and this seemingly undefined, like what MLSsoccer.com, I guess, reported for like the GAM that they have to spin, and then Chris saying that they had more flexibility. I don't know what they really have. I know Neymar was obviously going to be like a big swing that obviously wasn't going to happen. Are they deep enough? Like, are they a better team than they were last year? No. Or at least like how they ended the season last year. As stated with their roster as it is, if they can avoid injuries, if Matt Miazga can play all 15 games, if again, Miles too, I don't know how this is going to go for him. Like, is Guidi going to be your center back? Is Buka going to stay as a wing back? Like, that was all looking pretty good before they closed the first half. So I think it's sorry, I'm not giving you a good answer because I don't know what I think. I think like it's just going to be like, I'm interested to see them test themselves against these very difficult teams. And like, if they can survive and give you that confidence, great. And if they're not deep enough and that's the issue, then like, yeah, that's probably something that you're looking for them to address. I don't think that the transfer window closes until September. So like, do you give it time? And it's a post World Cup year. And I know the last World Cup was winter. So I don't know how much of this is applicable or where we were thinking about this at the time, but like MLS teams always get weird transfers because like the timeline is so weird. So it's like, okay, maybe FC Cincinnati has chips at the table for 4 or 5 players. They don't know how that's going to shake out or what the players do until all this is over. I would like to see additions, but like, I think they were humming before the break. So are they competitive? Yes. Are they actually one of the best 4 teams in the East? I would say like 4.5. And I might be taking the under, I guess, in this case. But like, yeah, I do see them as the odd man out in the playoffs. But there's so many variables, and like, was the first half a true representation? I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I think to answer both of your questions, I think it really comes down to what does Miles Robinson look like post World Cup? Because we didn't see much of Miles Robinson down the stretch, particularly when the defense, or at least the team, looked better. So you would assume he would be a net positive to whatever the defense was doing. That being said, the few minutes we did see of him were not great. Like, he was racking up red cards, had a couple of sloppy plays that were, that really stuck out and sort of mentally undid a lot of the other positives he might have had the rest of the game or in other games. And so I think you leave that first half of the season with this idea that like Miles was maybe not a bright spot on the back line, but I do think if he is able to come back as the player that Chris Albright signed, the player that Pat Noonan seems to continue to praise, that like he should be a net positive. A DP caliber center back on a bad defense ought to improve it. Like you would assume there'd be some real question marks if he can't. And I think success should follow from there. I think the next biggest question then is, with this much time off, do you get a better looking Matt Miazga back? If you can come out of this World Cup break with a very healthy, in form, ready to go Miles Robinson and an above average Matt Miazga, sky's the limit for this team. Like, this team has one of the best offenses in the league. You just need to stop the bleeding on the back line. The problem is, you only got hopes and prayers to go off of looking for the positives out of Miazga and Robinson. You don't have a lot of hard evidence to point to as reasons why you might be optimistic going forward.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. So my question to Tyler would be, if this team does make additions, do you think this team needs to make depth additions, or do you think this team needs to make a starting caliber addition somewhere? And I ask that because we just saw their one piece of business so far. They arbitrage Albright, gets $350,000 in GAM, trading an international spot to Chicago because they needed it immediately to start Lewandowski for a game that ended up not being played. So great use of the ticking clock right there. That did we
get an extra $100,000 out of that game being that day, and then it ended up getting canceled?
That's the only way I can possibly view that, given how much was paid the next day for another international spot.
Yeah, it was pretty bad luck for Chicago.
Yeah. So $350,000 in GAM, and I'll go out and say it. Like, to me, this summer window is going to be a bust if Teenage Adabia is still on this roster, because they're not playing him and they're paying him a shitload of money. They have a buyout available. So assuming, I would say that you have about $1.5 million in salary space to work with that move, which I think is a must make, and the extra GAM. Do you invest that in a starter if you're looking at this roster, or do you spread that out and try to find depth, maybe 2 different players with those pieces?
I'm inclined to say 2 different players, but that's me liking the idea of Guidi being on the back line, having Andre Chirilla and Nick Hagland, and hope you don't have to go any further than that. I think you have enough there, but if you're telling me like Yerson Mosquera, you know what I mean? Like, I know just some fictitious examples, like if there's an undeniable starting center back, I think you kind of have to go for it. But then that's also like, if with this midfield, like, do you think Buka as a wing back now, instead of being in the center, do you want that as a permanent solution? Do you want Dado Valenzuela starting? Has he earned it? I would say so, but like, do you want it? Would you say center back is the biggest need? If you're going to spend $1 million on one player, I think it would be a center back. And then that just puts Guidi maybe back in the midfield and you kill 2 birds with one stone. But with the competitions and the injury history, I would want to spread it out, but there's 1,000,001 reasons why I'm not a GM. I don't know. It's a good hypothetical. What do you think? I don't know. Like, what would you say?
I'm of the mind that they probably need to split that into depth. And for me, where the depth is most needed is probably in the midfield. And like, I would go and I would, instead of investing in a center back, I would go and invest in someone who can be a backup to Evander, or someone who can be someone that can push Obi for minutes would probably be my number one choice, just because I think that what this team needs, and like, if there's a million reasons you're not a GM, there's 2 million that I'm not. But to me, when you look at the first half of this season and you look at where this team sits now, I think it's kind of fun how history sometimes rhymes. That what this team needs to get over the hump is they need Matt Miazga and Obi, but they need the version of them from like 3 or 4 years ago. They need another starting caliber center back that has elite potential, and they need a top end destroyer playing at the back of the midfield. And, you know, it would be great if Obi regained that form and Matt regained that form. I'm not going to bet on that. Like, that's, I bet on Spain before the World Cup. That was a good bet, it turns out. I would not consider this to be a good bet. So to me, like, with that question of like, do you need depth or do you need starters? You need both, I think. But if you're going to get depth pieces, I would be looking at someone who can be a backup to Obi and someone who can potentially push, you know, from the center back role and, you know, maybe give you some coverage there. I don't think this roster is good enough, frankly. I think they're going to be exciting in the second half, but I have some worries unless Albright really starts moving on, you know, rearranging some pieces on this team.
Yeah. Would it really be that bad?
Not a GM hashtag.
Would it really be that bad though if like every game ended like 5-3? With like
depends on who's got the 5 and who's got the 3.
Let's assume FCC wins most of those, but yes. Yeah. I think it could be fun. Tyler, man, you've been incredibly generous with your time. I'm worried that if this interview goes any longer, we won't be able to afford you. Like, that's just, I know how the hourly rate works, the pay by minute works. So like, I definitely don't want to go over my budget. But if folks want to hear more from you, or read more about what you're writing, where might they go and do that?
Yep. So MLS Soccer, or rather MLSNextPro.com for day to day. Doing a lot of just like, I work seriously so far in the shadows, but you can read the weekly MLS Next Pro awards and, you know, stuff like that. And And then for MLSsoccer.com, I just do match days now, so a lot less over there. And then on a week-to-week basis, for the FC Cincinnati fan, what you actually care about is I have a podcast that Laurel Failer has a podcast that she brings me. So she obviously, if you're if you're one of the 12, you're obviously very familiar with her and where to find her work. She has the private podcast, through her Patreon, the Insider Show, and then we do a weekly preview show, which is morphed into more than that because the drama never stops. But our racket over there is on most weeks. We'll get either the play-by-play or the analyst for the upcoming game on Apple TV, and just talk to them about what they're thinking going into it, and that obviously gives us a variety of voices like weighing in on that. And then so we try to keep it focused on preview, but as we know, I never shut up and I end up being way too long. There's that. And then if I may just have a moment just to say what's up to the new FC Cincinnati fan, the World Cup boom, I think, us three and, the extended postcast network and everything. I think this is just a day that we've all been waiting for a long time. So I just want to say welcome. I just think you're joining such a special fan base in a league, in a sport that is just so rad. And there's a reason we've all done this as a labor of love for so long. So just wanted to take a moment to say hello. And obviously if there's any questions I can ever answer for anybody, just reach out.
Yeah,
awesome.
No, I absolutely love it. If you've been an FC Cincinnati fan for a while and do need the link down in the description to Laurel's and Tyler's podcast, shame on you. You should already be subscribed. But if you are new, hey, welcome. Great place to get started. You should absolutely be following Laurel before us. I don't know how you got here first, so go check that out first. So huge thank you to Tyler for coming on, man. Looking forward to the rest of this year, and scare money don't make money, man. Thanks.
Let's do it.
God bless. Thank you guys so much. See you.
All right, we are back. And again, a huge thank you to Tyler for joining us. Lovely conversation with him. Absolutely enjoy it. And yeah, you should absolutely be subscribed to Laurel Failer's work and their podcast that they're putting out. It's a good time. It's a good conversation they always have there. And actual journalists instead of whatever it is that we're doing. So
yeah, always go to the primary source. Yeah, we're reading their stuff and then reacting to it. So you should read it too. Mostly.
And then you can tell us if we're idiots or not. That takes us to Wednesday. The Vancouver Whitecaps come to town. These teams have only met 3 times. They've not played in 2 years, thanks to the weird imbalanced schedule of MLS. The series stands at 2 draws and 1 win for Vancouver, although that win was late in 2019, so it doesn't count. We were bad then, so doesn't matter. The Vancouver Whitecaps are full of players that you will have seen in or around the World Cup, including Sebastian Berhalter for the U.S. men's national team and a Paraguayan midfielder whose name is absolutely escaping me at the moment. You also have...
No,
Kubas.
he's German.
I believe Kubas.
Kubas, yes. No, but of course, the big man in the midfield, their star player, at least in terms of worldwide recognition, is Thomas Muller. You've also got Brian White up top. It was a consistent goal-scoring threat in Major League Soccer. Also, not for nothing, Tristan Blackman on the back line. Tristan Blackman's a fascinating one. American center back for the last 3 years, generally being considered the best American center back in Major League Soccer. Did not make the World Cup team. Miles Robinson did. So it'll be a really fun comparison to see Blackman and Miles Robinson on the field together, because I think they offer an interesting conversation when the two of them get compared to each other, especially in a U.S. men's national team context. Also worth noting, the Vancouver Whitecaps were supposed to be the visiting team to the Chicago Fire last Thursday. Unfortunately, it was fire indeed that canceled that game. The wildfires in Canada made the air unbreathable in Chicago. They canceled the game due to poor air quality. So this is a team that is well rested and was not expected to be well rested going into this one. Chief, what are the vibes going into this? Oh, I guess I should mention too, Vancouver tied for top of the West, tied for third overall in Major League Soccer.
It's going to be a heat check for sort of like what this FC Cincinnati team has been working on. It's going to be hard to judge a lot just because it's been so long since either of these two teams has played a match that had any real significance to it. Vancouver getting their first match scrubbed. On one hand, you would have liked probably to have seen Thomas Muller play and then have to come back and play on a short rest, just given his age and where he is physically at this point. But also everybody just had a long rest off. So, I mean, who knows if that would even factor at this point. I don't know. Vancouver's really good. They have a lot of firepower. They can hurt you a lot of different ways. Brian White is and remains one of the most unheralded players in MLS, one of the best value contracts year in and year out. Yeah. Muller is the kind of player that gives FC Cincinnati fits, where he's just real good at finding creases and finding passes and exploiting things that you think that you're doing well. I don't know. They're prolific on offense. They score a lot of goals. I think their back line is not nearly as good or playing as well as it did last year. So I think they can be, you can get some goals on them. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to expect. If FC Cincinnati wins this game, I think it's going to be a tremendous sign for the way this team is going to be going forward for the second half of the season. If they lose it, I'm not going to panic too much. The only result that I will be unhappy with is if it ends up being like a blowout, if they get just absolutely run off the field by Vancouver. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they've been working on in the lab for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. What I would add to what Chief said is that, so Vancouver's played 14 games. We and most of the teams have played 15 games. Vancouver scored 34 goals. We've scored 36 goals. We talked about like how good our offense has been. They've scored 2 fewer goals with 1 fewer game. So
they're about the same.
It's about the same. They've given up 12 goals this year. That is the fewest in the Western Conference, and it's the fewest in the entire league except for Nashville, who has given up 11. We've given up 37.
It's like our defense is facing the league's best offense every week.
I agree with Chief that if we get a result against Vancouver, it's a great sign for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. We have no idea what they've talked about and what they've come up with in the like 2 months ish they've been off. But it's the same players. So like, I don't really expect, much in this first game. I think it's going to be a lot of continuation from what Vancouver was doing to till now, and what we've been doing till now. Yeah. Because I think you need a run of games to implement your new thoughts and ideas and like whatever, like when it's truly like a tactics and like when it's like a tactics and like formation change or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think it takes actual games to implement that effectively. So I think there's a decent to probable chance that we get run off the field Wednesday.
Dang.
But I'm not I wouldn't sweat it.
Yeah.
Like, I think if we get if they beat us by multiple goals, that's just what you'd expect from where the teams were when the season broke. If we tie them or beat them or play them really strong and lose by like one goal, I feel pretty good about that. So like my thoughts going into the game are I'm not putting a lot on this game. I think we can come away from the game feeling very positive, but I don't think we can come away from the game feeling very negative, because if we lose, if they beat us badly, it's just because like whatever we're doing, it could easily be because whatever we're doing hasn't just taken yet. Or because we haven't made the personnel changes that we plan to make or whatever, given the long window. Yeah. Or whatever. Like,
so I
was going to say their defense is good. The issue is that last year at the end of the year, their defense was one of the best defenses that has played in MLS in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, the defense has given up one more goal than the best defense in the league this year.
Yeah, but I've watched a lot of Vancouver games this year because they're actually a very entertaining. They're a great watch because they usually play their games later at night, given the fact they're on the West Coast, and they play a tremendously entertaining brand of soccer. Like in terms of getting your money's worth of watching an MLS team, they're far and away the best team that you can pick as a West Coast team. You can possess the ball on them a little more this year than you could last year. Last year, watching that team play defense was like watching a boa constrictor just suck the life out of you. This year, like they're not conceding as many goals, but like there are better opportunities to be had this year on them, I think, to where I'm more confident with Evander and Denke playing this team now than I would have been if you would have lined up and played last year. Last year, this team would have struggled to have 40% possession against this Vancouver team. This year, there's a little bit more hope of life. Also, the travel can't be ignored. It's one of the longer road trips out to Vancouver. You know, they'll be breathing clean air for a change, which will be different for them from how they've been training recently, I'm sure. So I don't know, maybe, but I don't disagree with what I don't know. It's if they win this game, it'll say a ton. If they lose it, as long as they don't get blown out, like I said.
Yeah, I think even if they get blown out, it says nothing.
So
they were getting blown out sometimes before the season broke.
Yeah, like anybody
who looks okay, fine.
One time in the last 9 games.
Anybody who looks at where these two teams sit goes into this game saying Vancouver could blow them out.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just getting into the heart of the season.
That's true.
Okay?
So Grayson, how
the
long
first
does
game
that
doesn't mean much unless you get those points.
So how long is that leash? Is it one game? Is it matchup dependent? Is it 3 games? When do we hold them to account for what they're doing or not doing?
I mean, so we're sitting, this episode comes out July 20th. There's 3 games between now and like August 1st.
August 1st is the 3rd game, but that takes you up to Leagues Cup.
Yeah. We'll see how they do in those 3 games. We'll see what they've done in the transfer window by early August. I understand that it's a long window, but the longer you wait in the window, the more you have shipped this season.
Yeah.
Right?
The less heart you have left.
It is true. Like the less time you have to integrate new players, the less time you have to, figure out what your best lineups are. That's not to say that like, and I like to think in terms of seasons. When does League's Cup start?
So it starts August 4th for FC Cincinnati, and they have scheduled games until August 11th. League picks back up August 15th.
Okay, this is crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy.
Just the weirdest schedule.
They're
doing
like a World Cup break and then like League's Cup. They should have just not done League's Cup, but I understand they have like a whole.
Or do it in the winter, do it during the sprint season.
They got to meet. They should have done League's Cup during the World Cup. Who cares?
I don't know that FIFA would allow that. I am actually not sure. So yeah.
But I think we need to know. I think we need to know something by the end of that August 1st game of what they're doing, because I am not very interested in taking seasons off.
Fair.
They've done it before. I'm sure they'll do it again. But I think it's fair to point out when they do it. And I think by the beginning of August, and I want to say literally like the Monday after that August 1st, so I guess like August 3rd.
Yeah. We'll give them to August 3rd. You got a couple of days.
We'll know whether they're taking this whether they're taking this season off or not.
Yeah. 2 notes here, and then I'll ask for predictions. Jesper Sorensen is their manager. I think was absolutely snubbed last year for Coach of the Year. The Coach of the Year was fired unceremoniously earlier this season. And not for nothing, least you've forgotten he exists. Somebody, if he had been healthy, likely would have been playing at the World Cup. Scotland's Ryan Gauld played 30 minutes in the Canadian Championship last week for Vancouver. If he is healthy, he is one of the best players in Major League Soccer. Unfortunately for him, he plays for Vancouver, which historically has meant nobody cared, and then has been hurt for like 2 years. If he comes back and he's the player that he used to be, it could be a real wrinkle. So with that, Chief, predict this one for me. Give me a final score and a winner.
2-2 draw.
I think that would be a good result.
I think it'd be a good result too. I think both these teams come out a little rusty.
Yeah. Grayson, are you predicting a loss given your optimism you just laid on us?
Yeah, I'm going 5-3 Vancouver.
Oh man.
Bet the already over.
I can get my money's worth though with my ticket.
So I should let it ride, all those Spain winnings from the World Cup. I should let it ride on the over then.
Yeah, easy. All
right. Fair enough. Kevin?
I'm going to say 2-1 the FC. I think we are motivated. I think the travel gets to them. I think the canceled game and then suddenly this one, I don't think the coaching staff's had time to prepare. I think
they've had more time to prepare.
Well, I like a team in disarray. That's a good time to play a team. They feel vaguely disarray-ish, so I'll take it.
There we go.
Boom.
We shall see, I guess. Kevin, that all for the people?
That's all I got.
Right. Well, if you're a new listener, we've got a usual way that we sign these shows off. And you'll have to wait till the next episode to figure out what that is, because for this episode only, fuck Lionel Messi.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They're a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.